What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Alright, y'all. We got to talk about DeliverThat, y'all. So, a lot of people are not happy with the recent DeliverThat changes, and for good reason. In order to address some of the concerns and complaints that drivers had, DeliverThat decided to do a live stream. So a few days ago, they did a live stream stating that, like I said, they were going to answer questions, they were going to address concerns, things like that. And I'm not going to lie, I sat through the entire thing. It was only an hour. I sat through the whole thing. And it seems like they were more so trying to do damage control. They didn't really thoroughly answer any questions. They deflected a lot, and they skipped over a lot of questions that some people were asking. It was just, like I said, it just seemed like it was just damage control more than anything. It was like, look, we hear you, let's address your concerns. But it seemed like we walked away with more questions than answers. You know, a lot of people, they weren't, like I said, they were not happy with it. So my thoughts on DeliverThat personally, you know, I took a break from DeliverThat primarily because I wasn't really getting any offers sent to me. So with the old tier program, I was just a regular catering driver. So I pretty much was just getting whatever was left over, and there was not much. So every now and then I would get an offer, but delivered is my bread and butter when it comes to my catering apps. I stopped getting offers because one, I had took a break from gig work a couple of times. One when my mom had her transplant. Then I didn't get anything after that. I think I got like maybe 2 or 3 offers during that time frame. Then I had to have my own surgery. I hadn't gotten anything prior to that. Like literally, I think I might have only gotten like 3 offers this entire year prior to this change. This was around the time when they made the changes for the tip pool, or they got rid of the tip pool, I should say. And I feel like there were mixed reviews about it. Some people were happy because they hated the tip pool. I didn't mind the tip pool, you know, and that was because a lot of the orders that I received, they were small orders. So the tip pool evened everything out, and in some cases I would get paid more than I would if there was no tip pool for the size of the order that I took. And I can understand the frustration with that because, you know, say if you took an order that was, you know, $1,000 worth of food, you're getting tip pool, the person might have tipped, let's just say $100, $150. You're only getting like $20, maybe $30 out of that. So I can completely understand why people were frustrated with that. But when tip pool went away, first of all, that was when I started to see the slowdown for the orders. But when tip pool went away, that's when we had a whole nother issue with these low paying offers, because the few that I did see right after tip pool, man, there was a lot of orders where people wasn't tipping. So gratuity 0, you just got commission pay, right? It was not looking too good. Then, like I said, more recently we got these new changes, and the only thing that I noticed about the changes as far as what communication they did send out was the fact that there was going to be a few back-end changes, you know, notifications, things like that, but there are going to be exclusive offers now. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, you know, because as a driver who doesn't really have any status, you know, I'm pretty much on one of the lower tiers, you know, it's really hard to do the first come first serve when all of the good orders are obviously going to be taken first. You know, it gave people more opportunity to finally get exclusive offers, you know, orders that are sent directly to them and them only. You know, they have the opportunity to take them, right? Sounds good and all, right, on paper. But with this, I will say the few exclusive offers that I have gotten, I either get them at the most random times, so I don't even get a chance to review them. Like literally just last night, I got 2 exclusive offers sent to me but they were in the middle of the night. I think one was after midnight and another one was around like 3 a.m. You know, first of all, I have a whole 9 to 5, so I am not gonna be up during those hours accepting orders, okay? 2, when I do get exclusive offers and I'm able to be conscious to see them, they don't make sense at all. You know, I'm getting offers where the pickup is anywhere from 20, 30, 40, even 50 miles away from me. Now, it's very rare, for me at least, that I'm gonna be doing a catering order that far out. You know, if that's your area where you typically do gig work, you know, you do this catering order in between, you know, your other orders that you have set, whatever it may be, you know, that's cool. But I think based off of the comments in the live stream, this is something that a lot of people are not really fans of. Besides the fact that the mileage can be out of control, the pay that you're getting for some of these orders is just a slap in the face. I'm literally talking about offers that are under $10. And this is just the commission pay. So there's no tip, and people are not going to gamble with trying to see if there's going to be a tip after service, or if the tip was on a form that they have to submit for receiving gratuity later on. You know, I have never done an order that did not have tip included, and I had to fill out the form. I know some people have, and I've heard that process is meh. I don't know if it's changed since then. I'm not gonna go ahead and risk that, okay? It's almost the equivalent of you picking up a regular food order and gambling whether or not the person's gonna give you a cash tip because they say they're gonna give you a cash tip. I'm not doing that. If the payout does not reflect what I want for that order that's reasonable, I'm not gonna take it. So if I see an order that's gonna send me 50 miles away, like, if I see that joint say $8.52, bro, I gotta drive out there 50 miles, get paid $8, and then the amount of food that I have to do, you know, it might be $500-$600 worth of food, you know, no gratuity, just commission. Maybe they have a tip that, you know, I have to submit via the gratuity form, the reimbursement form. Maybe. You think I'm gonna go ahead and do that? Nah, bro. At this point, honestly, with catering, and I said this between all of the platforms with catering, they just need to have mandatory gratuity, flat 10%, call it a day, you know, because nah, bro, you ain't gonna be catching me doing no single digit order or anything under $20 and it's a decent chunk of food and there's no tip. I'm sorry, I can't. This is not just a simple drop off, even though yes, some orders are drop offs, but if I'm expected to do setup and get everything set up nicely and all that, I'm expecting more pay. Okay. With all that being said, you know, as far as the types of offers that people are seeing, you know, whether they're exclusive or just open orders, whatever it may be, you know, one thing that they said in this live stream was that, you know, a lot of this is going to be based off of your performance. The problem is, how can you tell where you are with your performance if you don't have the metrics? Literally, that's the equivalent of, you know, you being a kid going to school, you take some tests, and you can't see what grade you got. How are you supposed to know what you're doing well with? How are you supposed to know what you need to improve on? That makes absolutely no sense at all. And that was one of the issues that I think a lot of people were saying in the live stream, was the lack of transparency. So you could say lack of transparency with the lack of metrics. You could say lack of transparency with the notifications of the changes happening, or, you know, just anything. You know, there's no concrete, like, okay, this is what it is, this is what to expect. None of that exists with this platform. And that's why a lot of people, especially people who had higher tiers, so whether you were preferred or you were elite, whatever, that's why a lot of these people are upset. I'm not a person that had status on that platform, but I'm also upset too, because, you know, the orders are trash. Some people say, yeah, I'm getting more orders than I had before. Some people are saying, you know, I used to do like 2 or 3 a day and I barely get 2 or 3 a week. But in relations to, like I said, those folks that had that status, man, you know, they received absolutely no communication saying, hey, guess what? the tier system is going away, and you're pretty much going to be put on par with everybody else. That is a slap in the face, you know, to be the reason that a lot of people know about your platform, and, you know, the fact that you've brought more drivers, more money to the company, essentially, you know, to not even have the decency to give your folks a heads up, like, hey, this is going to be going away, and this is what it's going to be. And some people could say, you know, they don't owe these drivers anything. They didn't have to say anything. You're absolutely correct. They don't owe us anything. But just because they don't have to doesn't necessarily make it the right way to go about it. So there's a reason why people are upset. Yes, I get changes can sometimes bring mixed reviews. You know, some people may prefer the way that things were in the past. I get that. But it just seems like this whole, I don't even know what you want to call it, just this change of direction that they're doing. For them to say that this is an app made by drivers for drivers, like, you can throw that whole motto out the window at this point, because now you're starting to make business decisions for the business, not for your drivers. And yeah, I understand, like, you know, as a business, you have to make some tough decisions. You have to make business decisions that elevate the business. I get that. But don't forget the people who made you who you are. So that's kind of why, like I said, I do feel for the OGs, the people who had that status, because they just got left behind and put on par with everybody else. So you may or may not be seeing orders like you used to, you know, whether it's the pay, the mileage, whatever it may be, it's just not there. It's just not there overall. But with all that being said, will things get better? We don't know. We really don't know. You know, like they said in the live stream, you know, this is only a part of the changes that they're doing. You know, could it be for the better? Could it be for the worse? We don't know. You know, I could be making this video and this becomes completely irrelevant 6 months down the line. We don't know. We don't know until we get there. So hopefully things get better. In the meantime, I'm going to take orders that make sense to me on the DeliverThat platform. And I'm going to continue to use Delivered as my primary, because that's pretty much what I've been doing, honestly. I've always felt like Delivered had an edge over DeliverThat. I always favored it more. I guess I'm glad that I put more time into Delivered instead of DeliverThat. And I know there's Zifty as well. I did try to do Zifty, but it just didn't work out for me in the sense of where the orders were located. So maybe I'll try to give them another shot and see what they're looking like. You know, it's been probably about a year since I uninstalled that app, so maybe I'll check them out again, see what's changed since then. Maybe I'll go ahead and start including Zifty in the rotation as well. Who knows, you know? But for now, DeliverThat, you just gonna have to, you know, sit right there for a little bit. You know, every now and then I might call on you if something makes sense to me, but for right now, you can stay over there. And this is a prime example of why you cannot put all of your eggs in one basket. You cannot be relying on just one app. A lot of people were praising DeliverThat. And yeah, look at where we are right now. You got to know how to pivot when you need to, because these apps are not loyal to you. They really don't owe you anything. Should they? Yeah, like I said, they wouldn't be here without us, but they are not obligated to do anything for us. So prime example why you need to have more apps. But I would love to know what you guys think about these DeliverThat changes. How has it affected you? Are you seeing more orders? Are you seeing less orders? How's the pay? How's the mileage? Were you an elite driver or a preferred driver and now you feel like you're being screwed over? Like, let me know how y'all feeling, because man, I feel for y'all legit. But let me know how things have been since the changes have taken place. And Yeah, just let me know in the comments. But before I go, I have to remind you guys to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.